Greetings, everybody! Welcome back to my channel. It is me, Tony K, Tony Klespis. And today it's the first Friday of the month. So you know what that means. Hopefully you do. It is Fiction Friday time. Woo! For today's book, I'm gonna talk about a book that is truly just one of the most mind-blowing experiences I've ever read. I have to preface this video with that. This is truly a masterpiece of a book. And also, I don't know if I say this in every Fiction Friday, but just remember that these are my opinions about this book. You can feel differently about this book if you do, and that's totally fine. These are just my opinions. These are my feelings on this book. So yeah, let me just get right into it. Today, I am talking about Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. If you recognize that name, that author name, then good for you, because I said in my last haul video that I have another book by John Corey Whaley called Noggin, and this is the book that he first wrote. This is his debut novel, and like I've already said, this is such a masterpiece of a book. I've never truly read a book like this before. Let me just kind of get into the plot summary of this book here. This book has two stories going on in it. One from our protagonist, Cullen Witter. That story is located in Lily, Arkansas, Cullen's home place, and one day this guy says that he saw a woodpecker that has been dead for 60 years, completely extinct for 60 years. He says he sees it in Lily, Arkansas, and it just kind of brings all this business into town. But Cullen doesn't care about any of that stuff because his younger brother, his 15-year-old brother, Gabriel, went missing in the early stages of all this tizzy stuff, so he just doesn't care because he wants to find his brother. And that side of the story is told in first person. The second story starts out with a character named Benton Sage. He's an 18-year-old missionary in South Africa, kind of dealing with the fact that the person that he's dealing with in doing the mission work that he's doing, his main co-worker, I forget the name of the guy, but this guy, he's not converting people to Christianity the way Benton thinks people should be converted, so there's just that kind of tension between these two characters, and it kind of just goes from there. And I don't want to give too much away because these reviews should be spoiler free. Those are our two stories. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Benton's story, however, is told in third person. So we've got two perspectives going on. Luckily, the writing style is clear enough that you can differentiate between each story, and also, chapter breaks help too. And these two stories in this book kind of just collide in a very dramatic and high tension way. It was kind of surreal reading how everything kind of came together because it was just so well planned out. I really have to stress how expertly this book was crafted. And this is this dude's first novel. This is his debut novel. He knows how to write. This is such an incredible work of art. The things I liked in this book were, number one, the characters. The characters were just very real. None of them ever felt like they were just reduced to one kind of trait or stereotype. They all had their own little quirks that made them unique. They all just felt so real, and you could feel what they were feeling. You were inside of their head, regardless of which point of view you're in. You could just tell what characters were thinking. You could tell what they were feeling, and that's such a great thing to do in writing. And because you can kind of see those inner workings, you know everybody has a reason for doing what they're doing. No one's doing something just because it's a plot device, or just because it furthers the story, or just because, shock value. Everybody has a reason for what they're doing. The logic checks out. Everybody has their thought processes, and it all works. Another thing I really liked about this book was the narrative style. As I've already mentioned, it kind of switches between first person and third person. But even in the first person with Cullen has such a unique thought process in that he often goes in tangents that are third person, and what it is, it's kind of he's talking about either a situation that's really happening or just a hypothetical, and he kind of always starts them off when one does something, or when one is doing, just something like that. You're switching perspectives, but again, the writing style is very clear. It never gets confusing. That just helps reinforce how you can tell what the characters are thinking, or how you can tell Cullen really feels about something. The last thing I want to talk about that I liked about this book is just the fact that John Corey Whaley knows what his literary devices are, and he knows how to use them. them. So I'm talking about things like illusion and symbols and themes and imagery. He's mastered them. I really say that. This may be his first book, but he's mastered them. Religious commentary throughout this book. That's one of the major themes of this book. Religion and just like kind of how it affects someone, you know, mental state sometimes. And just like the commentary on religion itself, it's just a theme that's going all throughout the book. In fact, the woodpecker is called the Lazarus woodpecker because it came back to life. Supposedly it came back to life like Lazarus did in the Bible. The woodpecker, even though you never really see it, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil that for you. You never really see the woodpecker. It in and of itself is the biggest symbol of this book. And it has so many meanings, but the biggest one is, well, the title. Lily, Arkansas is a place where things come back. Not just woodpeckers, but people. Cullen is always talking about how people leave Lily, Arkansas, and they eventually always come back. So Lily, Arkansas is the place where things come back. Whaley is not subtle with his title in this book. But I don't want this to kind of turn into an English lecture. I don't want you guys to click out of this video because I'm just talking about all these literary devices. So I'm going to shut up now about that. I just really want to reinforce that he knows what his literary devices are and he knows how to use them, and that's what makes this book so enjoyable to read. And now, time for just some things that I don't like about this book. And I'll be honest, there's only one thing I don't like about this book, and that one thing is the ending. Because I mentioned that there are two stories in this book, they alternate, the chapters alternate. So we have Cullen in one chapter and then the other story in the next chapter, and it kind of just alternates Cullen, other, Cullen, other. And so because the book is set up that way, the second to last chapter is the other story. And keep in mind at this point in the book, the second to last chapter, the storylines have crossed over. It ends in such a way that, you know, tells you this is the way it's gonna end. But then you read the very last chapter and it tells you a completely different ending. I have never read a book that gives me two different endings and two different possibilities ever before. Like, this is a new thing for me, and it is killing me because I don't know what to think. I still don't know what to think. I finished this book weeks ago and I still have no idea which ending I believe to be true. And to be honest, I think Whaley intended it to be that way. Just because of how expertly crafted this book is, that was totally intentional. And I don't know what to think. I really don't know what to think. I don't know which interpretation I should believe. There's evidence supporting one, and then the optimist in me wants to believe the other one. So I know that's super vague, but you just gotta deal with it because I don't want to spoil anything for you. This book is kind of devastating. I'll be honest. I read this book and I was devastated. I was just devastated. It's one of those devastating stories where you go up to someone and you say, hey, this story ruined my life, but you should read it so we can talk about how it ruined our lives together. Like, it's one of those stories. So there you go. There's my monthly book review for you guys. If you want to read Where Things Come Back, give this video a thumbs up. If you have read Where Things Come Back, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below what you think about this book. If you have read this book, and if you like watching book reviews on YouTube, you should go ahead and hit subscribe and you'll never miss one of mine because I post them on the first Friday of every month. And I think that's about it. I'll see you guys on Friday. Bye!